What's up, everyone? I'm back from the Sacramento Regional Championships. Another week, another regionals. This one is a worse story than before. I actually didn't day 2 this one. I went 6-3 and I played Mu VMAX. And I'm going to talk to you guys about my tournament round by round, kind of what happened, the breakdown, and the list I played. Just all that in general. Hopefully you guys can get a better understanding on how to grow as a player, this kind of thing means to me as a player, that kind of stuff in general. I actually got home not more than like 10 minutes ago, so this video is coming out as soon as possible, and then I'm gonna go to bed. I ended up playing Mu VMAX. I saw Rowan top 4 with the deck in Peoria, and I played against a couple myself. I played against like 3 Mu VMAXs, and I was like, man, this deck is really powerful. Luxury Grabber is a really crazy good combo, and if your opponent doesn't just like raw top deck out of it a lot of the time, which typically decks don't really have that many top deck options, you can kind of put yourself in a position to win over the course of a couple turns. It's like this like control layer added to Mu, and I thought that was really cool. The changes I made from Rowan's list were very simple. I cut a rope for a switch card because I feel like those are pretty interchangeable, and having a switch card could just come up in a niche scenario up against Sableye, as well as maybe just like I want to actually hit the active rather than rope a lot of the time. And then I cut a vacuum for a Lost City because I felt like having a stadium bump to my own path to the peak, as well as a card to Lost Zone Drapion, if that becomes popular this weekend, would be quite important. Mu being like 4% of the meta share, however, last in Peoria, and like yes, there was like 29% converted of the 4%. It still is not a crazy big number, but I didn't really expect that many people to like still respect Mu. My mistake, honestly. Everyone decided to respect Mu this weekend, and I felt the wrath of that respect coming in. So that was a bad meta call on my part. I did land in Sacramento at about like 10 p.m. A really late flight, and I had like a really long week at work, and I had a pretty bad headache when I landed. So like a lot of excuses from my end, I know, but didn't really have the time to think about Pokemon as much as I would have liked to. And I wanted to play Urshifu with Victor and some of the other guys, but I wasn't really sold on it yet. And the way I was feeling, I was like not feeling 100% myself, and so I just kind of like I took some Advil, I like locked in Mu, had a little bit of food, and I just went to bed because I just was not feeling 100%. I needed sleep, I needed to get rid of this headache, and I was like, Mu is going to be good for me tomorrow. Let's go into my tournament. My tournament kicks off with me round 1 up against Casey Shablom. He's not actually Mu, he was Gardevoir. I don't know why this says Mu. I don't know why my deck isn't even in here. Alright, whatever, I want to put mine in. Mu VMAX. Smiley face. But Casey was actually Gardevoir, and the first game I ended up taking it barely, but then the second game Casey reveals his like second worker and all that good stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's not good for me. But no Tomb, so he does end up taking game, or he's on the verge of taking game 2 actually, and I make like an Iono path play, basically just being like, Hail Mary, you have a ton of cards, you have a Curlia and Arcana in play, like this is still probably like a Hail Mary that's not going to work. And then it works, and I was like, all right, we're cooking. And Casey had a Lumineon in play, unfortunately, which I was able to just boss up and take out a turn later, which kind of just accelerated the game to the point that Casey couldn't come back into the game from that position. So I kind of got bailed out. If we were going to a game 3, there's no way we actually finish. So I was pretty scared of a tie round 1, which was like quite unfortunate. It could have happened, but yeah. Round 2, I go up against G. And they were playing Carlos Lugia, and so both games they didn't V-Star, but I did lose the set, which is crazy, right? The first game, I have like a pretty picture-perfect start. I go and take out the Lugia. I get like the Luxray going second. I get the Luxray, Path, Judge, Grabber, everything. I grab her away like Illuminion. I'm able to rip a card out of their hand as well with Luxray, and I'm like, yes, like we're cooking. They go draw a turn, slam Research. And I'm like, what? Okay, all right. This is a lie. And then I end up taking out the lone Lugia on the board. But then G responds with the Drapion knockout. And then I am able to knock out Drapion. Or I have to make the choice between knocking out Drapion and pathing with their, like, G went to like a 0 card hand to do this. So the 3 prizes are the 3 cards that they've seen. Or I can do this. So I use Grabber. I can boss the Lugia, like lone Lugia on the bench, take that out, and then save the Drapion for next turn, because I have to take out this Lugia, and if it falls to a V-Star, I'm out of modifiers to win the game, so I have to 2-shot at that point. I think I lose if that happens, if they can bust through my path, either way. So I end up bossing a Grabber, and G doesn't have any like way to reactivate Drapion, basically. So I boss up the Lugia, I take that out, take my 2 prizes, G draws for turn, top decks Ultra Ball for Pumpkaboo bumps, and then takes out my active. Game 2, It's a very similar story where they go to a effectively zero card hand under path, with Drapion in play, and I don't get the boss to knock it out, which really sucks. So I just take out the active Lugia, like the lone Lugia. I'm like sick. They throw up a Mew EX, which they opened, draw for turn, like literally zero card hand, draw for turn, collapse stadium, and I was like, okay, that's wonderful. That's basically kind of how the games went. I was just like, man, like I got top decked out of it twice. It's fine. That won't happen again, right? That's not true. And then I go up against Michael. A lot of fun playing against Michael. We had like a good banter, a good time. Game 1. He never gets to use his Drapion, actually. I didn't know he played one. It was just like game 1 was like, he just played Miraidon like he played Miraidon, and I ended up kind of winning because I just outpowered him and my path stuck long enough. Game 2, he ends up hitting the Drapion for 3 prizes, and then having a turn where I do the, Iono to 3, path, all that stuff, grabber, hit a Pokemon, and his hand is like Super Odd Research, and I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. So he gets Super Odd Research in a Stadium Drapion once again to win the game, which was unfortunate for me. And it was pretty much a similar story in Game 3, where I had Michael Iono to 1, actually, at a certain position. I Ionoed him to 1 because he took 2 prizes on something. I had no energy like left on board, basically. Like he had a Flaffy, but I was just like, okay, if this Iono sticks, I just win the game because I can knock out the active and I can knock out one more thing. And the Iono gave him to 1, gave him Research. And I was like, okay, not winning this one. So I couldn't fight myself out of that one. That was really unfortunate. I guess Iono path is a lie, unless it's against me. So that's fantastic. Round 4, running against Brian, who was playing Gardevoir as well. Brian basically had like pretty slow starts on both starts in general, and I was just able to kind of capitalize and put a lot of pressure on. And path plus like Judge basically like got Brian a lot of the time. I bricked one game. I got like Genesect to pass, and that's like whatever, you know. We get one of those all the time. Round 5, I go up against Eric, who's playing Colorless Lugia. This game was pretty much like the path actually stuck. Like I got the path, I got the Luxray, everything worked out. Eric did have a Drapion, and he was able to fight me in a singular game with the Drapion, but I was able to stick the path again, take out the Drapion, feel pretty comfortable with the matchup there. Luxray did a lot of work, and Eric just wasn't able to play the game in either of the games, and I was able to take it. Like one game, it was just like something, it was like Snorlax pass or something like that. And then one game, I knocked out the lone Lugia early, so like the game just got really tough for them to play. They were like Pumpkaboo Jet, and then I grabbed their hand, it was like 5 energies, and I was like, oh my god, this hand is bad. So, round 6, I went against Zachary Thomas, who was playing Fusion Mew. I believe it was like their first or second regionals, like completely newer player. We put out the match. Zachary missed like the Meloetta KO to kind of get ahead both times, and I was able to just go Iono path like later in the game because they missed that early game advantage in both the games, and I was able to just kind of capitalize on me setting up and playing from that position. So I was able to kind of beat like the early game regression of Fusion Mew to kind of take it there. Fortunately for me, terrible matchup. Also, like these matchups are not easy today, man. Like I'm not hitting a single Chen Pao or the decks I wanted to hit, more Miraidon. You know, like come on, give me the good stuff. And then I had Jacob Friedman, who's playing Kyogre, a terrible matchup for me. Game 1, I am in a position where I basically just kind of outrace Jacob, and he can't close out the game. Because early in the game, I go Lost City, boss up the Greninja, and take it out of play. And Kyogre sometimes crumbles if you can't work under the draw of Greninja and putting energies into the discard, because you don't have an effective way to do it anymore. And you need to kind of put those energies there to use the Recycler play at the end of the game. So it just kind of cuts off their circulation when they want to flow the way they want to do it. And then in the second game, I do the Path Luxray play, and I rip a Chorus out of Jacob's hand. I'm like, sick. He's got nothing. Draws for turn, top decks Chorus. Okay, we do another thing. We kind of like lock him up again. Draw for turn, top decks Chorus. So I'm like, okay, all right. And then I grab her, do a bunch of stuff later in the game. And this time I like Luxray again. Like this is like way later in the game, and it's pretty clear that like if he just gets the Kyogre off, I've lost the game. And there was like a Rod gone, 2 gates gone. I'm counting everything because I already need resources. And then I Luxray, and I just grab the Recycler. I'm like, I'm gonna make this as hard for you as possible. Like discard the Recycler. And he goes draw for turn, top deck Chorus, and we were just laughing about it. I'm like, dude, three top decks in a row. Like this is ludicrous. Like what? Like he has a completely dead hand. Like I can sit here with this Luxray and like just get rid of his entire hand is my thought process, where I'm just like, I see a Rod in there. If I get rid of the Rod, I also just win the game. He has to Rod now or he loses it. He has to gate now or he'll lose it. Like I'm making him burn these resources he doesn't need to burn because I'm just going to discard one of them next turn. and I just don't get that option because he gets to go into Dragon Knight, and I'm like, cool, all right, wonderful. But I ended up winning because Jacob tells me after the game he only played one recycler, and the fact that I was able to mill the way I did meant that he could never attack with Kyogre to close out the game. And I was like, cool, wonderful. Round 8, I go up against Zach Umstead, who's playing Miraidon. Game 1, he goes attached to... He goes second. He goes attached to Squawkabilly, Under My Path, Motivate, Pass. And I just knock out the Squawkabilly. Pretty easy, cut and dry. Game 2 is pretty similar, where I go Path, like Judge, and knock out his first like Raikou that he attacks with. He takes 2 prizes with the Raikou. I take the 2 prizes back on Raikou, Path Judge, and he just never establishes another attacker from that position. His board was just not good enough to play out of the Judge, and it was kind of crazy that the game ended as quickly as it did because I felt like Miraidon has a little bit more firepower, but the matchup does feel very easy for Path Mew if you can actually get set up. Yeah, so 6-2. Now it's game time decision. Do I play? Do I ID? What's the sitch? What am I going to do? Am I big balls rule? Am I let's play safe, get into day 2? Do I think Mew's going to win me the tournament? The answer is no. I don't think Mew's going to win me the tournament because there's a lot of Tomb. There's a lot of Drapion in day 2. I've definitely been outmeted in this one. I made a mistake. This deck is not a tournament-winning deck. But did one idea. I still wanted to play it out. I still wanted to stick to my guns this season and play for winning the tournament at any given opportunity. And my decision gets made for me anyway because I get down paired into Yasser, who is playing for his life. He's at 17 match points while I'm at 18. I was going to play it anyway, so I saved someone the trouble of kind of sitting there and lamenting the fact that they have to play their round 9. I was already mentally prepared to play. Yasser's playing Zard. Game 1 is an incredibly close contest where I end up getting the board state with the Luxray and everything in a perfect position to have Yasser locked up where he has a 0-card hand. I'm knocking out the active Charmander, and he has a Charmander on bench with 2 energies. And I have Cram for, if I Cram heads, get the boss, I can take the Charmander on the bench out with the energies, Path, and stick him pretty much, and I win the game over like 3 turns with like 3 or 4 attacks. Just between Max Miracle and Technoblast. I do that, I take a prize. He draws for turn, passes back to me with like a Pidgeot or something active. He gets into the Pidgeot early enough and just passes with it, or an Entei active. And I draw. I go Cram, Tails, don't get the boss. I think it's like really stupid if I bump my own stadium here because my hand is like 8 cards big. I don't know if I can like thin these cards down. I have a Luxray in play. I'm only drawing to 5. I'm like, do I just burn all my tablets here and like play this Lost City out of hand? But then I can't replace Path because I have a vacuum to go down low and then try to find the boss to get the Charmander. And if I whiff the boss, I lose the game anyway because the Pidgeot gets a quick search into Arvin, and then Arvin gets him the Sealstone plus Candy, like whatever 2 pieces he's missing, and I lose the game. And I was like, no. We're gonna play it safe. We've got him under Path. We've got him right where we want him. Everything is looking good for me. Just knock out the active Entei, whatever. Draw for turn for Yasser, Candy, Zard. I'm like, cool. And I can't really play out of the position because I didn't have the tablets necessary to do a knockout at any point. So I end up losing that one, which really sucked. The game 1. Game 2, similar situation. Yasser does draw out of a basically 0-card hand again. And I'm like, okay. He like top decks research, and I'm like, oh my god. This is how I'm going to go out. This is how it's going to be over. But I make like a really good play where I like leap his Lone Zard and Path, and he just knocks out my active. And then I Iono him to 1. And then I get the VMAX play with my tablets, get another Mew into play. And I know my deck is like just basically like VMAX DTE because of the leap play, and I burned every other resource. So I knock out his Lone Zard now, or 1-1 prize, and I'm just sitting there like sweating. And he draws for turn, and he doesn't hit anything off the path bump basically. And he like passes with like his Pidgeot active, and then I go like retreat into like other Mew, attach DTE, VMAX. I'll like Ultra Ball my deck, get the VMAX, boss the Charmander, end the game. And I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that was like as close as it was. And then game 3, there's like 10 minutes on the clock. I can definitely play it slow if I want to. I don't want to though. I want to finish the game. I want to make sure there's a winner. That was my intention when I sat down at that table. That's my intention for the game. So I'm going to make sure that there's a winner in that game. So we both up our speed of play. We're playing like lightning fast. I lock Yasser once again. I'm feeling so good. He does get a Pidgeot out, but like I have locked him completely. I am feeling super good. I know his hand. It's like basically nothing. He ends up Ultra Balling like the remaining. He had like Ultra Ball like Manaphy Fire or something. And he like Ultra Balls those cards away to get a second Mander, puts it down, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in such a good spot. Same situation. I go in, I go up, I take prize number 4, or sorry, prize number, yeah, I take my 3rd prize on like a Pidgey. He throws a pitch up. draws, passes. I draw, cram, tails. There's a Charmander with 2 fires. Same scenario. You guys are seeing the same picture I'm seeing, right? Cram, tails. Okay, no boss, whatever. We don't mind. I can just hit for 110 and it's Pidgeot. I can take this knockout here next turn because I don't have the tablets for it right now. And then I just have to. I just win on a boss. I just win on a boss next turn. If I just need 3 attacks in this game is over. It's like what I'm thinking in my head. Like even if he retreats, he's got like Mander, like Pidgey, or not. No, it's like Mander, Entei on board or something, or like Luminion on board. So like he can retreat into one of these guys, but I just get free 2 prizes or 1 prize next turn anyway, and then I win on a boss no matter what. And so I'm like yes. And then he goes. So I go Max Miracle 110. He goes draw, looks at his 2 cards, Candy, Zard, and I was like, oh my god, this is how I'm gonna go out. This is how I'm gonna go out. And then he retreats, knocks me out. I leap, judge, do the whole play that I did in game 1. Get the knockout once again. But then his hand is and then his hand is like Nest Ball. It's Nest Ball Fire. Nest Ball Fire and Radzard when I grab her. So I grab her the Radzard at the bottom. And I'm like, okay, I can win this. He just has to not top deck a Stadium out. We're both at 1-1 prize. Blood is pounding. Like I can feel it in my ears. Like I have the boss in hand. I have the VMAX in hand. Like anything. Like I have game. I just cannot lose this one turn. He goes draw for turn. Like lets out like a deep like sigh. And I'm like, oh my god, does he have it? And he slams Lost City. Goes Nest Ball for Radzard. Attached to Radzard. Pidgeot for Rope. Rope ends the game because I had to leap a turn prior. I didn't have another VMAX on the bench that could eat a shot. So I lost right then and there, ending my tournament run in somewhat poetic fashion. Yeah, won a lot of games on close games, lost a lot of really close games. Feel like I played pretty well, honestly, throughout the day. I feel like I made the right judgment calls on when to use Luxray, when to like be aggressive with my attacks, when to play those judges or Ionos or whatever. And I feel like I played really well. So it was like kind of a bummer that I didn't get to advance to the second day. But we live, we learn, and we come back stronger. That's as simple as that. So that's my tournament run. Hopefully this was fun for you guys to listen to. Hopefully you guys can keep cheering me on. With these points, I do advance even further up the leaderboard. I'm at 439 out of my 600. And so next up for me is Toronto. Good luck to everybody, and I will see you guys later.